Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, The Lab of the Future, the Value of a Fully Integrated Ecosystem. My name is Megan Parrish, and I'm the Senior Editor for Pharma Manufacturing Magazine, which is producing today's event. Today's event is also sponsored by Thermo Fisher Scientific. Today we're going to talk about the push to digitally transform pharma operations and how laboratories are finding that integration and optimization is more valuable than ever before. Across the entire laboratory workflow, integration is key to ensuring that laboratories are running as efficiently as possible. So, this webinar will focus on issues, solutions, and trends in pharma and how LIMS and laboratory software can enable laboratories to accelerate science and drive productivity by creating a fully integrated ecosystem. The key points we will discuss are understanding the value of a connected scientific ecosystem and how to address industry challenges and trends, learning how to drive compliance and ensure data integrity, and exploring a pre-configured pharma solution. To complement this discussion, we will have a live audience-driven Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to submit your questions as they occur to you. Now, before I introduce our speaker, there are a few housekeeping issues that I would like to review. On the interface we're using for today's webinar, you'll see several different boxes or sections. The upper audio section allows you to adjust the volume. Just hover over this section until you see the audio volume control to adjust it. Below that is the very important Ask a Question / technical support box. At any time during today's presentation, you can type your question for our presenter right here, and we'll get to your question during our Q&A. Also, if you're having a technical problem, you can simply type in your question or concern, and one of our technical engineers will help. On the left side of your screen is our handouts area. Here you will find additional information available for download. Then, in the largest section, you'll see today's presentation slides displayed. And below the slides is a live chat box. Now, this is a really good place to chat with other webinar attendees, but not a good place to put a question for our Q&A session, because this is not where I'm going to go looking for those. Also, you can always enlarge a section by clicking on the square box in the top right corner of the section next to the X. You can also move sections around if you want to reconfigure your screen. But then if you accidentally close out a section, don't panic. You can get back to it by clicking the corresponding icon button on the left side of your screen. Also, this webcast will be archived. We encourage you to direct coworkers to the recorded presentation. It will also be available on the Pharma Manufacturing website. And we've also recently added a Q&A feature to our on-demand presentation so that listeners can ask the speaker a question and it will be passed along to them. One final note, we ask that you please respond to the feedback form at the end of this presentation. Your answers do help us improve future events. So now I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Eugene Galperin is a Solutions Manager at Thermo Fisher and is responsible for the development of SampleManager solutions. He got his master's in chemistry from Rochester Institute of Technology and has over 15 years of experience as a bench and analytical scientist in a diverse range of industries. So with that, I will hand the floor over to Eugene.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I think a very exciting topic of Lab of the Future, what exactly it is and how you can achieve it in your lab. More specifically, we'll be talking about Pharma 4.0, and we'll go really into detail in the next few slides, how connecting the lab to achieve Pharma 4.0, deploying LIMS to drive lab connectivity, ensure regulatory compliance, and of course, regulatory compliance is high in everyone's mind, and ensuring implementation project success. There are a number of things that the organization needs to achieve Pharma 4.0. It's important to understand that the system is built on a certain level of what you would call digital maturity, and has data integrity at its roots. And we're going to be talking about data integrity quite a bit as well. Workforce must be first ready to accept the way of working with openness to change. Organization needs to have qualified experts ready to drive science forward. Tools, devices, and IT systems need to be an open platform to connect the necessary instruments and equipment with common data standards and likely cloud-based to enable data sharing. Information systems are the basis of integration and traceability as well as automation, eliminating unnecessary human and manual intervention and reducing regulatory oversight. You need a culture of strong communication with a leadership keen to drive positive experience through the technology. So let's look at Pharma 4.0. What does it exactly mean? Well, the concept is based on quality by design and process analytical technology. Instead of waiting to check the product only at the end of manufacturing process, what Pharma 4.0 does, it moves to real-time monitoring using connected systems to enable a truly agile continuous manufacturing system, where process self-adjusts based on the data being collected. Since data is the heart of the system, it's important to apply the latest data analysis techniques such as AI or machine learning, deep learning, to enable simulations throughout which the system can learn and optimize product quality. And finally, Pharma 4.0 looks to automate, eliminate any human or manual interventions by leveraging software to make decisions based on information collated from the connecting system. And even where possible, drive any action such as changes to manufacturing process. This complete system creates a far more, call it, intelligent scenario where pharmaceutical products are manufactured in a process which is constantly learning and proposing solutions to any issues that arise to enable optimum product quality. Pharma 4.0, most of all, is a strategy for the evolution of pharmaceutical manufacturing, but understandably, for many organizations, the execution can be challenging. The reality is that many organizations will struggle with siloed data and disconnected teams. When we work with pharma manufacturing organizations, we recommend taking a step back and just analyzing your existing infrastructure. Are your people, processes, and data disconnected? First step to achieve Pharma 4.0 is probably solving those issues. By connecting people, equipment, consumables, systems, and data, you make data available when and where it's needed. Then, or second of all, it's providing end-to-end workflows. Digital technology can help you to optimize your process. And finally, it leads us to the third step, which is advanced analytics. So once you connected your data and equipment, your workflows, your data is accessible for advanced data analytics and, as we mentioned, AI solutions. This will allow you to look at the data in a new and really exciting ways and apply it to your business challenges. It's not just about collecting more data. It's about taking advantage of data you already have and putting it to good use. The lab is a critical component of any pharmaceutical quality organization. So what does the lab of the future look like? Well, it's a complete digital lab environment. It's an environment where manual work has been eliminated. Samples and all associated metadata are managed effectively, and workflows are connected across instruments and data. This creates a truly digital lab environment where data is accessible. And the benefits are clear. You get simplified scientific workflows, improved data integrity, and data that conforms to fair data principles and is accessible for data science. So as discussed, connecting the lab is a critical step in companies' Pharma 4.0 journey. This level of connectivity can be achieved through implementation of laboratory software systems such as Thermo SampleManager LIMS, SDMS, and LES software. This solution can be used to manage your entire QA/QC operations to both derive and demand data integrity. SampleManager LIMS software has been in use for over 30 years, and it's been developed in conjunction with our global customers and pharma organizations to ensure that solution addresses any new industry and regulatory requirements. We understand that a big drain on analyst time is the amount of paperwork that has to be completed. We've looked at many ways to reduce the documentation by automating process and moving it to a real paperless environment. Laboratory Execution System, or LES, is integrated directly into the LIMS, so that checks can be made on instruments and equipment availability. Analyst training records and other resources to ensure that the process can be completed within the compliance. SampleManager LIMS software can be connected with enterprise systems such as ERP, or Enterprise Resource Planning, and Chromatography data systems to further automate processes and provide a more holistic view of data to drive informed decisions. So what we have found through working with many pharmaceutical organizations over the years is that they need to implement their laboratory software faster to be able to realize the return on investment the company has made. So Thermo Scientific SampleManager LIMS, LES, SDMS software, Pharma solution is, you can think of it as an implementation and validation accelerator, which uses industry standard features, expertise, and experience to expedite return on investment and also reduce project risk. The SampleManager LIMS software pharma solution, well, first of all, it delivers industry standard capability, including dissolution, retained sample management, and stability testing, as well as a unique review module built to expedite review and approval. Secondly, it streamlines operations to ensure consistency, efficiency, and productivity across laboratories. And finally, it expedites implementation validation, enabling go live to be achieved up to 50% faster. Half of the world's top 10 pharmaceutical companies, as well as our own Thermo Fisher Scientific manufacturer business, rely on SampleManager LIMS, LES, and SDMS software to drive quality, compliance, and data integrity through their manufacturing QA/QC process. So diving in a little bit deeper into data integrity requirements, most of you are likely familiar with the ALCOA guidelines and how SampleManager LIMS software handles each element. And you can see that in the picture here. Most of you probably familiar with that, so I'm not going to spend time on that. But what I will say is that in addition to the ALCOA principles, what SampleManager does, it actually adds 4 additional points, which is complete, meaning that no data has been lost, consistent, validated processes, enduring, which means future-proofing XML data archival formats, and final, and one of the more important ones, availability, data accessible direct from the sample records in the LIMS. So let's take a look at the end-to-end laboratory data management, and we'll start with workflow management. Workflows are used to build processes in SampleManager, which map to your actual lab processes. This can be done easily without the use of code. So SOPs can be changed easily without involvement from IT. Workflows enable automation by driving decisions and action based on results. As we have said, the LES in SampleManager LIMS software connects to the LIMS to drive process integrity and repeatability throughout all analytical processes. SOP can be set up to direct analysts through complex procedures. And for that, you can use videos, images, and instructions. Analysts can actually start a method or process. They can pause, they can revisit later, and step through the execution using a tablet. So they can follow a process remotely in the lab without needing to go back to PC. Another way to drive automation is to ensure data integrity is through the bidirectional connection to CDS. Here we take a look at our own Thermo Scientific Chameleon CDS software. But keep in mind, talk about flexibility. SampleManager LIMS software can connect to any chromatography data system. Work lists can be sent to the instrument without leaving the LIMS user interface, and results then sent directly back into the LIMS. That easy. Next, let's take a look at the SampleManager capabilities in SampleManager LIMS software. It provides complete management from collection to disposal, supported by using barcodes throughout the whole process. You can manage samples by product, client, and in phase and production. Instrument, reagents, and consumables can also be associated with the sample. Talking about our native mobile app, it supports Apple, Android, and Windows devices. It has advanced search feature, data review of existing LIMS results. You can assign workloads. It has QR barcode support. You can, through LES, it has execution of SOPs, instrument data capture, and finally, visual alerts for limit failures. Pharma solution is configured to manage environmental monitoring samples for multiple locations, test protocols, and frequencies. Using the sample schedule, you can set up multiple sample points and assign samples for testing from those points at defined frequencies. Clean room standards can be defined according to ISO standards. Limits to specific analysis are entered against sampling points to enable alerts if obviously results go out of limits. Any action can be based upon the clean room grade. Room map-based sampling points provide an instant graphical view of contamination levels. You can see the colors on the map reflect the different results at collection points. User can also select the time frame they wish to review results from a specific location. Location map updates to reflect the results at different sampling points are selected. System supports incubation, grouping samples within incubation locations, and provides the ability to define a set alerts to parameters such as temperature, humidity, carbon dioxide, and incubation time. Stability studies are easily managed in a pharma solution. Protocol details such as product, number of samples, storage conditions, and time points are recorded. And templates can be configured for routine studies. Stability samples are automatically logged in for required testing as they're taken from storage. And results which determine shelf life are linked to the product specification. Also, there's a calendar that provides a visual display of stability events. And finally, the system also creates charts to support label claims and shelf life. So we've talked about workflow management and sample management. So let's switch to data management. Of course, all the work that's done in the lab is about creating data to make informed decisions. You need to be able to understand the science behind the numbers you produce. Within the SampleManager Live software, there is a SDMS that enables you to see not just the final result, but also the chromatography and mass spec real data, including metadata. So you can determine if it's failed sample or maybe it's just a failed injection and make decisions based on that knowledge in real time. As we mentioned, data integrity being at the core of Pharma 4.0. We need to be able to show every action that has been done in the lab. And not only that, but we need to be able to show when it's done and who did it. So there's actually a workflow journal in the SampleManager Link software that enables the user to drill down from sample record and see all associated actions, tests assigned, completed, and any data as well as instruments, equipment, and other resources being used. Previously, we briefly mentioned review and approval module, which is specifically designed to ease the QC sample review and approval process. This, would say, unique module provides authorized users with a clearer overview of all the samples awaiting review and leverage review by exception by flagging results that are out of specification or any diversion from standard operating procedure. Results are easily selected and reviewed with the full process being audited in the system. So finally, with the last step of end-to-end laboratory data management, which is your data visualization. You need to be able to visualize your data in a way it makes it easy to understand so you're able to make decisions on it. Dashboards can show stock levels or reagents so you can easily see what you have available there. You can also view SQC, statistical quality control charts, to see how your results are trending. SampleManager LIMS software has very sophisticated data visualization tool built in. You can also, but again, we're talking about flexibility. So you can also connect your third-party reporting and visualization tools. So you can use the tools you're comfortable with or have been used in the past. It's important that you see data in the LIMS so that you can make informed decisions. Data, as everyone knows, data doesn't have much value if it's not possible to translate it into meaningful information. That's why solid data visualization capability is important. Any entity in SampleManager can be shown a chart, graph, or table as a part of dashboards. Dashboards can be created to show KPI performance to managers or to show analysts at which stage of the process they're at, or actually anything else you need to quickly get a graphical view of. So we've seen the value of SampleManager Link software can deliver to your organization, but let's take a look at how we deliver complete pharma solution to our customers. So solution is comprised of three elements. The first one is SampleManager LIMS software, which contains the capabilities and functions required to drive your processes and provides web and mobile access to users. Next, we provide instrument integration to get you up and running with the connections that will deliver the most value for your lab. And finally, to expedite your implementation, we provide a validation kit, which includes scripts, data, and trace matrix, which enables a risk-based approach to validation. So looking at how we deliver the solution, our experience has provided us with wealth of information and knowledge and understanding of complexities of pharma QA/QC LIMS implementation. Our service teams have worked with pharmaceutical organizations, large and small, around the world to deploy those solutions. And we've always taken a consultative approach working in a team with our customers throughout the project. So let's take a look at a few of the pharmaceutical customers who selected SampleManager LIMS software to manage their QA/QC operations. And let's start with Mustang Bio, which is planning to submit BLA, which is biological license application, in the near future. So looking to ensure product quality and mitigate the risk, Mustang Bio recognized that their manual laboratory process would not scale with their business. They realized that adopting a fully validated LIMS capable of tracking and trending phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials will facilitate their BLA process. Mustang Bio knew they need a system to efficiently realize products and generate certificate of analysis. They also wanted a system to handle environmental monitoring, support stability studies, manage raw materials, and track operational efficiency with the easy-to-interpret reports, and key performance indicators, KPIs. Mustang Bio wanted a solution with a reputation for compliance, fast deployment, and ease of use. They also knew that choosing a solution with very little to no customization to support their laboratory workflow is critically important, so they selected Pharma solution. Now let's talk about our own Pharma services group at Thermo Fisher, which provides industry-leading solutions for drug development, clinical trial logistics, and commercial manufacturing to customers of all sizes. Keep in mind, this group is the largest provider of development and manufacturing services across the globe. So our Pharma service group continually undergoes rigorous regulatory inspections, getting approval from over 20 global authorities. So to ensure they continue to deliver the highest level of service to customers, PSG selected Thermo SampleManager LIMS software to manage laboratory operations across all of their 25 sites globally. And finally, let's look at the Zhongxi Sunve, which decided to purchase the LIMS for several reasons. Well, first of all, they needed to track and trace data quickly to make laboratories more compliant. Then they also wanted to quantitatively assess all laboratory resources through a digital system to achieve effective resource management. And finally, what they wanted to is to access and statistically analyze QC data in real time to enable scientific management of their data and achieve a paperless laboratory. So let's just summarize it. Pharma solution built on SampleManager LIMS software provides QA/QC laboratories with faster return on their software investment, while using proven solution and implementation methodology with leading technology to enable customers to advance on their digital transformation journey. And this is my last slide. Just a few words about Thermo Fisher Scientific. Our customer value proposition focuses on accelerating innovation and enhancing productivity for our customers. We partner with customers to accelerate routes to market. We also drive quality to customers so customers can be more efficient. And finally, our focus is on productivity innovation through products, digital science, and supply chain optimization. Thank you, everyone, and please let us know if you have any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Eugene, for that great presentation. Everyone, we're going to get ready now to jump into the Q&A session. This is just a reminder, if you have a question for Eugene, please feel free to submit them now into the Ask a Question /technical support box. We already have a lot of questions to get through, so that's pretty exciting. Again, submit your questions there, and we will do our best to get through all of them in the time we have. Also, just a heads up that if we don't get to your question during the Q&A session, it will be passed on to the Thermo Fisher team, and they will follow up with you later. Also, just a heads up that we have another team member from Thermo Fisher joining us. His name is David Hardy. He's the manager of the data analytics team. He's got a lot of technical expertise, so he's going to chime in to answer some of your questions as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump into it since we have a lot of questions rolling in. This first question, and David, I think this question might be for you. The attendee is asking, we have a LIMS in our pharma quality assurance lab, but we still rely on a lot of manual inputs to move our processes along, which slows us down. What are the best opportunities for time saving through automation?
Hi, everyone. So there's many opportunities to improve your kind of time saving. I think the quick win, if you like, is really integrating your equipment. So automatically capturing those results will save not only a lot of time but also reduce transcription errors, which causes problems and time later on down the line. So if I was going to start with something, I'd start with that.
Okay, great. Thank you, David. Eugene, I think this question might be for you, but David, feel free to jump in if you want to. The attendee is asking, is the laboratory execution system included in the solution, or is it a separate module that you have to pay more for?
Yeah, it's a good question. The laboratory execution system, or LAS, is actually an integral part of our solution, and it's fully integrated into SampleManager software suite. There is really no additional license requirements and no additional costs for LAS.
Okay, great. Another question about SampleManager. Someone is wondering, does SampleManager have an ELN?
Yes, actually our newest released version, 12.3, which I believe was released a couple of weeks ago, has a comprehensive ELN functionality built into software, and it actually looks really good.
Great. David, I'm going to bug you, I think, with this question. The attendee is wondering, how do you collect data from non-pH systems, like balances and pH meters?
Okay, so essentially, so long as it's got any form of kind of electronic interface, so that could be, RS-232, USB, COM, Ethernet, then we'll be able to collect it. If there's no form of electronic output, such as a mercury thermometer, then we might struggle with that. But essentially, if it's got any form of electronic output, then we can collect that, whether it be a kind of point instrument like a pH meter or a balance through to a high-end mass spectrometer. So yeah, we can cater for all of those.
Okay, great. I think this is for you as well, David. Is SampleManager compatible with RFIDs?
Yes. So the RFID is just another identifier. So typically within SampleManager, each sample would have, an identifier and a name, and we've got a placeholder for an RFID, which is just a code. So yes. Okay,
great. Here's one, I think, for you, David, as well. Can you manage multi-vendor software in the LIMS apart from Alien software for chromatography systems?
Yep. So out of the box, we connect to Empower, Waters Empower, which is a popular CDS system, and beyond that, then we've got various kind of tools for connecting to all these different systems. Yes, and we can create sequences and batches and things of that nature, so you can put your calibration curves, etc., all in there and feed them through, or not, depending on what you need to do. So we cater for all ranges. Okay,
wonderful. We have a few questions left. Just another reminder to the audience: please feel free to submit your question to the Ask a Question box. So this attendee is wondering: is it possible to integrate the balance data and LIMS automatically? I think for you, David.
Yes.
Sorry.
So yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, okay. They can be read straight into the results. Yeah.
Eugene, did you want to chime in?
Yes, absolutely. The balance can be integrated actually through LES. So yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. All right. This attendee is asking, so new to LIMS and would like to know the basics. How can a LIMS system work both in the cloud and with on-premise storage?
Shall I answer that one? So basically, there's no difference as far as the end user is concerned. It doesn't make a difference whether it's on-prem or whether it's hosted in the cloud. Just so long as you've got the good connectivity, which I presume you would have in your lab anyway, then it really makes no difference to a user.
Okay. And David, I think this might be for you as well. How can instrument recording and reagent recording in LIMS be made real time? And can it be linked to an electronic notebook?
Okay, so yes, it can. So if you want it real time, there's a couple of different options. One is, the standard result entry. You can enter it there. So you've got the options to enter, the reagent, what stock batch it was, what, the weight of the something was, the reagent. And similarly, within LES as well, there's options there. And remember, that's recording each step as you do it. So, the time the step started, the time the value was entered, and as part of that entry, you might enter the stock batch as well. So you've got, very comprehensive kind of taking of that information.
Okay, wonderful. Well, listen, we've run out of time. So Eugene and David, thank you so much for fielding all those questions. And just a reminder to the audience, please let us know your thoughts on this presentation by answering our brief survey. It's going to pop up on your screen shortly. Your candid answers are appreciated, and they definitely help us craft future events. Also, just a reminder, this webcast will be archived at pharmamanufacturing.com. Please feel free to log in to view it again or share it with colleagues. We also encourage you to visit pharmamanufacturing.com to gain access to even more tools and resources aimed at helping you achieve on-the-job success. So on behalf of Pharma Manufacturing Magazine and the folks at Thermo Fisher Scientific, thank you so much for attending and have a great rest of your day.